Hi, everyone. Good Wednesday morning to you. It's Region Weather Meteorologist Matt Wintz. Long time no see. If you saw our post this morning, it was like an hour ago. So there's that. We've got a severe thunderstorm watch, which just got issued for LaPorte County and areas of north central and eastern Indiana. Porter County, Lake County are not in this. Newton, Jasper not in it either. However, we've got severe weather just off towards our west. So I don't want to say there's not going to be severe storms in the counties not into the watch right now. So we've got some really potent storms just north of Chicago right now. We'll take you through the radars. I do think we see some pretty decent thunderstorms here in northwest Indiana over the next hour or so. So again, I'll give you my thoughts on the radar. Just because there's not a watch out for some of us doesn't mean we're not going to see severe weather here as we go throughout the morning. So we'll run our open. We'll let some people join. And as always, we'll go through the radars and we'll answer your questions here at the end on this special morning edition. Grab a cup of coffee, everybody, of Region Weather Live. Morning to you, everybody. Hope you're doing well. JK's with us this morning. Candace, good morning to you. Justin, hello. Gail, hello. Susan, good morning to you and everyone else. Rich, Sarah's with us. Nancy, absolutely welcome. Good morning, Felicia. Ashley, good morning. And Linda, good morning. Thanks for joining us here on such short notice here with these showers and thunderstorms. Jeff, good morning to you as well. Grab some coffee, guys. I've got mine going. Ready to go here this morning. Again, I work late nights till midnight or so, the TV side of things. So I am not an early morning person. So this is early morning for me, although the kids wake me up at 7. So there's that. We get playing early. Anyway, so here's what we got, guys. I want to thank our sponsors first and foremost. Tiger Plumbing. They come out for free, which is great. They're just fantastic. Right now, they're doing $30 off any plumbing service. To go to their website, tigerplumbing.net, to check things out. And I think the most important sponsor for this, as we have storms moving in, PSA, that's publicserviceadjusting.com. If you have any storm damage from anything that happens either today or over the next couple of days, we've got another severe threat later this week. Don't do the claim yourself. Go through them. They're awesome. They take care of everything. You don't have to worry about a thing. They'll get you more money from your insurance agency. Everyone wins. It's great. So it's publicserviceadjusting.com. We've got stjudehouse.org. They've got a great event coming up with the Gary Railcats to pack the stadium for a good cause. I'll get you more information on that. And at Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram and Valparaiso. All right. So in terms of the radar, it looks pretty active, right? We've got a lot going on here this morning. This is a part of a complex of storms. This goes all the way up in areas in Minnesota and Wisconsin. But this is the pattern we're in right now, where we see these giant complexes of storms develop, and then that complex of storms will eventually roll out towards the east. And I'll tell you, models have a really, really poor, and I just lost my camera for some reason. The browser's lost your camera. I don't know what's happening, but that's okay. You guys can hear me okay, I'm sure. All right. So anyway, in terms of the models, they have a really poor handle on setups like this. All right. This is typically and notoriously a bad forecasting kind of pattern, because if we don't have model guidance help, it's kind of, up on our own in terms of experience, in terms of how these develop. All right. So the models don't have this portion of the storm right down here. Okay. They don't have the portion that's out towards areas near Aurora, Joliet, down towards Ottawa. All right. So without that portion of the storm being in the modeling, a lot of the forecast models and forecasts that you see are keeping us dry with the severe weather off towards the north. So that's not the case. So what we have right now, this is by and large the most dangerous part of this whole complex right now. We've got decent complex of storms really racing through Wisconsin, areas of Wisconsin and northern Illinois. But you see that bow shape to it. See how it's kind of arced out like that? That is indicative of some very strong winds coming through with this. And we've seen reports anywhere from 60 to 70 mile per hour winds with this as this races east. This will miss us to the north. Okay, this is going to go out over Lake Michigan, Berrien County. As you get up towards the Holland area, this area will be a high likelihood for some wind damage out of this. And I mean some real strong wind damage out of this. Michigan City, northern LaPorte County, will have to keep an eye on you to see how this kind of evolves. I would imagine as this line kind of goes out over the lake, this southern little appendage here will probably do something like that coming towards Michigan City. So that's what we'll watch for. And again, that's not for a little while here, probably an hour, I would say another hour or so. But for most of us here in Northwest Indiana, we're dealing with this section of the storm right here, okay? We've got a lot of instability already, even at this hour. And so because of that, I would imagine this is going to start to develop a little bit more. Again, it's not being handled at all in the modeling. The models keep us dry this morning. That is simply not going to be the case. And so from experience of forecasting these for almost 15 years now, I mean, these never go as planned, but looking at radar analysis and looking at some of the instability that's developing in this region now, I mean, we've had the hot, hazy start to the day. This will become more of a focus. We'll probably see a little bit of a line develop with that as well. This will be the strongest part by far off towards the north, all right? But we can't slack off in the southern section of this complex either. So what I would imagine happens here, and we're talking probably another 45 minutes or so. Let's pause our radar and time it out. Again, I want to thank our sponsors for our new software. I'm just so tickled by it. It's just great. So let's time this out. We'll bring it into Northwest Indiana. It's moving kind of down to the southeast a little bit, around 55. So this would bring it into, let's see, we've got, let's find some Northwest Indiana spots here. Okay, so we're talking Whiting another 40 minutes or so. So right around the 10 o'clock hour for Whiting. Hammond around 40 minutes, Dyer around 41 minutes from now, Cherville around 45 minutes, Maryville around 52 minutes from right now. So this is when this initial line is going to hit here. And maybe a minute or two sooner because we're starting to see the outflow kind of bubble up, storms out in advance of that main line. Portage about another hour for you. And then eventually into South Haven about another hour. And you get the idea. Chesterton, Valpo, little over an hour before this hits. Couts around 71 minutes, so an hour 10. Michigan City, disregard that number because you're going to get whatever comes off the lake a little bit sooner than that. So there's that. Okay, so that's the timing of this line. As of right now, there's nothing severe. So there's nothing severe here. This is where all the severe stuff is in this northern end of it. But still, I would imagine with the wind energy and the upper level jet energy that we have with this, we're probably going to spark some wind with this section as well down towards the south, okay? So in terms of timing, again, we're about 45 minutes out in these areas right here. We're about an hour out in these areas right here, and then probably an hour 10 to an hour 20 out from these areas. The only exception would be whatever this does out over the lake. This will probably come in and brush the Michigan City area, I would say in another 45 minutes or so. We need to keep an eye on storms out over the lake because keep in mind, Lake Michigan is basically frictionless, right? We've got a lot of trees and buildings and all sorts of stuff to get in the way on land, but out over the water, there's not much going on. So these storms tend to speed up as they head across Lake Michigan. There's lots of lightning with this as well. It's just a prolific lightning producer. So quite the light show going on just north of Chicago right now. But this is where all the severe stuff is. You see the severe thunderstorm warning that includes Chicago and the north suburbs. South suburbs not really getting into this yet. And that kind of is where we fall in line is with this section of the storm right here, which is not severe. It's just got heavy rain and some strong winds right now. But that will continue to develop as we go throughout the rest of the morning here. In terms of a 3D look at this is kind of cool. You can see how high these cloud tops are here. And we're talking, I mean, this thing is very well structured, very well organized. We've got cloud tops pushing 50,000 feet in spots with this initial line. And then you get, you know, just this stratiform rain. This all back here is just where you get the general rain and lightning behind the storm. But you can get some pretty decent lightning strikes with that as well. But, you know, the most dangerous part of the storm is this initial push right here coming across the lake. You can see how it's kind of bowing out. We've had wind gusts 60, 70 miles per hour. That's all that air just gushing into that portion. So it's a real quick hit. So if you have friends and family, again, in Western Michigan, I would have them, you know, on the heads up. There's, you know, no warning there yet, but there will be once this thing gets out over the lake because there's going to be some wind damage in areas of Western Michigan as the system continues to come out towards the east, okay? So that's what we've got right now. In terms of wind with this, we can look inside the storm and see, you know, what that wind looks like. Again, the big gush of wind is now going out over the lake. You can see that with some of these brighter reds that are showing up. We had them move through, areas of northern Chicago, Evanston back towards the Schaumburg. Algonquin got some strong winds from this, and it's kind of gushing out. What we'll have to watch for locally, as I mentioned, see the southern appendage of this. This will likely creep across the lake and kick off some more storms, and we'll have to watch for some strong winds to come into Michigan City. I don't really see a huge wind threat as of right now for the rest of us. We're going to have to watch this portion of the line here, which isn't severe yet, but again, it's heading into some unstable air. So we'll see what happens, and that's about an hour away, okay? All right, so I'll answer your questions for you. I'm not going to stay with you for this. We'll come back if we need be, but I just wanted to give you a heads up in terms of what we have coming in, and we'll go from there, okay? Good questions coming in. Skylar and Elizabeth ask, is this coming towards Michigan City? I do see Michigan City getting some decent wind off of this as this whole line. The worst is going to be in Michigan, so keep that in mind, okay? Worst is heading kind of where the apex of this is going, right towards Berrien County. But we'll be on the southern end in Michigan City as it comes in. So the radar will probably look something like this as it's moving in, and we'll get some kind of gusty little storm action off the lake. Again, that's just what I'm predicting off of this, all right, how this is going to evolve. So I would prepare for a real decent shelf cloud coming off the lake. You'll probably get some great pictures if you're looking north and west. But the other thing is we'll have lots of lightning and likely some gusty winds, some stronger winds in Michigan City. Does it get down into areas of Porter County, like the North Shore? I really don't think so. I think the strongest winds are going to stay Michigan City up into Michigan as of right now, okay? Great question from Elizabeth. She asks, no tornado threat for Hammond then? There's not really a big tornado threat with this as of right now. This is mainly a damaging wind threat with this northern half of the line. We have to watch these storms. I mean, the tornado threat's not zero today. It ramps up a little bit more as you get out towards the east. So our better tornado conditions are really out here as you get into areas of southern Michigan. Wow, I'm drawing all over the place. That's where your tornado threat is out in this region. But it's not zero for us. And the reason why there's a tornado threat is because there's real strong winds, low-level winds that cut through areas of north central and eastern Indiana. We don't have those real strong winds here locally. They're mainly down towards the south. So that's where your shear comes in, and we don't have a lot of shear present right now. So that's why I think we just get some heavy rain and perhaps some strong winds from this non-tornado related. But I'm not really looking for a tornado threat here with this line as it comes through, okay? Yeah, Derek's thinking ahead of us. Derek, thanks for joining us on your YouTube channel. I appreciate that. He says, could we see the same on Friday evening into Saturday? We certainly could, Derek. I think we've got a pretty good setup for severe weather later this week, too, as you mentioned. So, and that would be along the front that really changes things this weekend. We're going to go from this hot, humid tropical atmosphere to a much cooler setting this weekend with less humidity. So we're really looking good once this next front goes by, but it's not until then. But I could certainly see some storms then. Justin, great question. Justin asks, do these storms help lower the chance later today? Justin, they do. I think this main complex is going to be the main show today. Later on today, we're going to heat up after this all heads through. It'll still be real thick humidity outside. And we could get some straggling cells. I mean, you notice on the backside here, it's not done raining. There's still some thunder as you get back into western areas of Illinois. So we're not done with that yet. But in terms of our afternoon storm threat, it will be a lot lower with this large complex coming through. And again, if your model's saying something about an afternoon storm threat, it was from this. The models had this big chunk of storms going up way to the north, and then they had this like here's where the storms were this afternoon, and it had this trailing line that came through that fired up some storms this afternoon. All right, that's not the case right now. We've got a large complex here that's going to blow through, and there's no trail to it. So it's a much different setup than what any of the modeling has had. And that's what happens in this kind of situation where the models don't grasp where these large complexes develop because they are very complicated. And until they do, you really don't have an accurate forecast when you're looking at your phone app or anything like that. And that's why we're here to explain, right? Okay. Wally, you're welcome. Linda, you're welcome as well. Emma asked a great question. Emma says, will this hit LaPorte today? Yes, absolutely, Emma. This is going to move into LaPorte probably another hour, 15, hour and a half or so, okay? And again, nothing severe for you as of right now. We'll have to watch in LaPorte how far south this main area gets. This is the one producing the wind damage up here to the north. Most of us aren't going to get this. We'll get whatever develops out of this instead. So probably in line with some heavy rain, some gusty winds, and some lightning. But this thing out over the lake is the real beast because there's real strong wind pushing out. You can just see how it arcs. Anytime you have a complex of storms that forms an arc or a bow, that's called a bow echo. You've heard that before. And it's because you get this cold pool of air that develops from the rain. And that cold air is heavy and dense, so it sinks and it gushes out. And so all that cold air is gushing out. That's that wind that forms that shelf cloud that you see. That's that wind you get in advance of the storm. And that's where it's happening here. We probably don't have a shelf cloud down in this portion here. And this area is not severe. This area off towards the north is severe as it goes out over the lake. So there's that. But in terms of LaPorte, you're probably going to get more of this action rather than the stuff coming off the lake. I think this is going to clip Michigan City, though. Skylar, no, we covered that a little bit earlier in terms of a tornado threat coming over the lake. I don't see a huge tornado threat with it. I see a damaging wind threat from that, okay? Oh, Michael raving about PSA. Got him a new roof. Absolutely amazing. Michael and everybody, Public Service Adjusting on here, they're one of our sponsors. Again, if there's any claims from weather that you have, just go straight to them. Don't even deal with your insurance company. They are awesome. And I'm not just saying that because they're a sponsor. They have all 5-star reviews from everyone that's used them. They're amazing. It's publicserviceadjusting.com. Carrie asked a great question. Anything for Rensselaer today? I think so, Carrie. Your threat's a little bit lower because you're going to be kind of on the southern end of this line. But I do think this develops, and I do think in probably another hour or so, Carrie, you do get some rain, a little bit of strong wind with that. That's what we'll have to keep an eye on. You'll get a pretty decent rain downpour here as we get over the next hour or so. Pretty much same for DeMont there, Sarah. Hi, Kim. Thanks for joining us. Francesca, yeah, it's going to hit Maryville as well. This is going to move through all of Northwest Indiana. So if you're asking about your town getting this or not, everyone's going to see this complex of storms. But if you're just joining us, this is the worst part. And this is going to curve into areas of Berrien County. It'll probably clip the Michigan City area. This has the really strong winds with it. And then down towards the south, this is what everyone else is going to get, where we just get some good downpours. But this line is starting to come together. So could we see some wind developed with this and get some wind damage in Northwest Indiana? We could. It all depends on how that evolves. Does that make sense? So there's really two parts to this storm, okay? Skylar says it's got to bring up all the yard toys now. Boy, we have to do the same thing, Skylar. We're in the same household, it seems like. And no problem. So, yeah, Munster Highlands going to get some rain from this too. Guys, we're about 30 to 40 minutes out from this getting into our western counties, so Lake and Newton counties, and then probably another 45 minutes to 55 minutes in Porter and Jasper counties, okay? So there's that. Okay, yep, and I think everyone's just asking about their town, so that's that. Dren, great question. She asked, what about later today? So this should be the main show today. I really think this is it. I mean, there's still going to be some isolated to scattered storms behind that. But in terms of severe weather, as of right now, this is all I'm concerned with today. I think we rebound, we get hot and unstable later today. But the models were picking up on this being further north. And so it had this hitting basically later today. That was your storm threat later. But this should be it. Okay. All right. Terry says going into work at 1. Will it be done by then? Terry, yeah, the main part will be out of here, but we're still going to deal with some straggler showers and thunderstorms. I don't think anything would be, significant this afternoon around 1, but we'll still probably have, some kind of action on the backside of this. John asked probably the toughest question of the day. Thanks, John. Is rain wet? It depends, John. I don't know how to answer that. I was gonna go somewhere else, but I can't. It's a family show. Okay. Adrena says thank you. You're welcome. All right, guys. So that's it. So we've got again pretty decent line coming in. Michigan City. We'll keep an eye out for your threat. There's nothing severe locally right now, but we'll watch this complex kind of come across the lake. Berrien County up towards Holland will get the brunt of it. Will it brush Michigan City and areas of LaPorte County? Sure. LaPorte. I mean, you're gonna be right on the line of that. You're seeing some storms right now. That's just prefrontal. And then all of us will get this in about 40 minutes or so. which is just some rain, some lightning, but we'll see if that develops into something severe over the next 40 minutes or so. It certainly could, because we are very unstable outside. All right. Okay, guys, thanks for joining us. Again, we'll keep you updated as needed, but that's kind of the update in terms of what to expect here as we go throughout the rest of our Wednesday morning. All right, we'll talk